Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, Everyday Carry for the Everyday Guy. So, appendix inside the waistband holsters, why do they suck? Well, they don't actually suck, but let's get into a story about AIWB and why so many people think it's incredibly uncomfortable. This video is kind of brought about by some of the videos I've been posting midweek about exercise routines where I would work out and I'd basically have my full EDC kit on me, and people asked how comfortable / uncomfortable is appendix inside the waistband. Now, in order to properly tell the story, we have to consider a very important topic. Can testicles grow brains? Work with me here. Okay, so a long time ago I started doing Gracie Jiu Jitsu and I got hectically into it, loved doing it. And I got to the advanced class fairly soon. When I say fairly soon, I mean quite a few months. But that was me doing 3 classes a day, 4 classes a day sometimes, every single day, Monday to Friday. And I got my 4th stripe on my white belt, and now I could roll, right? Rolling is like sparring. It's what people who do jiu-jitsu call sparring. And I found that my man part region was just getting bumped into so often. Jiu-jitsu, you spend a lot of time in close contact with other people, and there are times when those people spend time between your legs. And I found that so often I would get hit in the nuts, for lack of a better term. And I spoke to one of my instructors about it, and I can't remember if it was James Smart or Gary King, and they said, well, you need to develop jiu-jitsu balls. What jiu-jitsu balls is after a certain period of time, your testicles will know when to move out of the way. They will anticipate a possible impact. I thought it was absolute rubbish until I got my blue belt. And all of a sudden I realized I'm not getting hit in the nuts as often. And I thought about this like non-stop for 3 weeks. Why has this all of a sudden changed? And what happened was my ability to do jiu-jitsu and the people I were rolling with had elevated. So I was able to understand when to move and how to move so as not to pulverize my man parts. Now, in the early days, I was so aggressive, shall I say, that I went for an armbar on someone and I hit my own testicles so hard I could taste them. Okay, what that tastes like is baby marrow and broken dreams. Anyway, I'd realized my ability to do jiu-jitsu had increased, and I could sort of feel when and how to move to prevent that from happening. That's a lot like what happens with appendix inside the waistband holsters. Initially, they are super uncomfortable, but as you wear them, you begin to learn how to move so that they aren't that uncomfortable anymore. It takes time. If you go to a gun shop and you say, can I try one of your appendix holsters, and you put it on, it's going to feel uncomfortable, especially if you don't have a firearm inside that holster. Most AIWB holsters have what's called sweat guards, okay? If you don't stick a firearm inside here, these things pinch into your stomach. And what everyone does is when they're at the gun store, they try it and they bend over, okay? When you're carrying in the appendix position, bending over like this is no longer an option for you in life. You're going to have to bend at the knees. And if you can bend at the knees, then tying your shoelaces, which is something that is very difficult in the beginning for guys who carry appendix, becomes quite easy. But it takes time. You have to learn what you can and can't do. Much like I needed to learn when I was doing jiu-jitsu, when and where to move so that I don't become a man woman when I'm 50. Now, having said that, there are a list of things you should be able to do with an appendix carry holster that if you can't do it, you shouldn't carry it. That list is you should be able to run, you should be able to jump, you should be able to sit, you should be able to crouch, and you should be able to go prone. Those things are vital to your capability to protect yourself, to defend yourself, and to save your own life and possibly the life of someone else. If you can't run, well, you probably can't get out of a bad situation. If you can't jump, you probably also can't get out of a bad situation. If you can't sit, well, it's just going to be a problem for you in life. If you can't go prone now, you're going to hide behind cover should you need to. Similarly, if you can't crouch, you're not going to be able to crouch behind cover. So if you can't do those things with an appendix holster, then maybe appendix inside the waistband isn't for you. Now, I do want to say, if you are going to comment on this video saying the reason you don't carry in the appendix position is because you're scared you're going to shoot your junk off. What you're actually saying is one of three things. Number one, I'm not comfortable with my ability to reholster in such a way that I don't pull my own trigger and shoot my junk off. Number two, I have not invested in a quality holster, therefore I am concerned that when I reholster, my holster is going to fold in itself, it's going to pull the trigger and shoot my junk off. Number three, I haven't invested in a quality firearm, and therefore I am concerned that it's spontaneously going to fire around while in my holster. Carrying in the appendix position is no less or more dangerous than carrying in any other position if you do so responsibly, right? If you have a negligent discharge, that's not the fault of the position or anything else, that is your negligence. So before you comment and say, oh, it's bad to carry because you're going to shoot your junk off, remember what you're saying is your equipment and your training is concerning you, and if it does concern you, then you absolutely shouldn't carry in the appendix position or pretty much in any other position until you are at the point where you are comfortable to do so. Now the holsters I carry are quite sizable, right? Because I carry quite a sizable setup. I like a lot of advantages. Okay, what I mean by advantages. So before I get to my advantages, I need to explain something to you about how we process data. The human brain is a data processor, okay, and it relies on 5 inputs in order for it to process data. Your 5 senses: smell, sight, touch, hearing, and taste. Okay, those are your 5 senses. Of those senses, the 2 that are most important for a combat situation are probably sight and touch. Now, the reason I carry a weapon light on my firearm, and a big one, is because I not only want to increase my brain's ability to absorb data through the eyes via the miracle of sight, and in order to have sight you need light. I also want to rob my opponent of that ability. So if I can, in a defense situation, I'm going to switch that light on, possibly even in strobe mode, in order to disrupt his visual horizon, and therefore he will lose the maximum capability of one of his senses. Another thing I carry is a red dot. If you know how to use this, it allows for quick target acquisition, tracking, and a nice wide window so you can see peripherally, right? A red dot requires both eyes open and for you to look at your target. Those are some of the advantages. An extended base plate, because I want all the rounds. A holster that has a spare mag, or a defensive blade attached to my appendix inside the waistband holster. So I want to make the fight as unfair as possible. I want all the possible advantages I can have to allow my brain to absorb data and make better decisions and make faster decisions. Okay, that means I have to carry quite a sizable rig. Now the reason I am more comfortable with appendix inside the waistband holsters is because I understand the trade-off between comfort and capable. For example, this holster is going to be more comfortable than this holster, but I have to trade off the weapon mounted light. This holster will probably be more comfortable than this holster, but then I have to trade off a spare mag. So as your comfort increases, right, your physical comfort, chances are your capability or your gear capability decreases. Now I'm negating training here. I'm assuming everybody's trained to a similar level. If you were to ask yourself, if everybody was trained at a high level, who would you want next to you? The guy with just a firearm and 15 rounds? Or the guy with a firearm that's got a red dot on it and a high-powered light with a high-capacity mag and a spare mag and a tourniquet strapped to his leg and a flashlight in his pocket and a knife, and he knew how to use all of them? Okay? That is the trade-off between comfort and capable. And that's what a lot of people mean when they say carrying this gear is not supposed to be, well, I wouldn't say not supposed to be, but it's not to be comfortable, it's to be comforting. It's comforting to know that you are capable because you have enough gear and the right gear. Remember, I'm assuming, and I'm talking to people who have trained with their gear. If you haven't trained, no matter what gear you have, you're going to suck. So the reason I run holsters like this that are a bit bigger is because I want all the capability that my comfort can handle. And for me, as long as I can go prone, crouch, stand, run, and jump, and the holster doesn't break the skin, For example, if there is screws or sharp edges on the inside of the holster and it cuts through the skin, that's not an acceptable level of discomfort. I'm not okay with that, right? As long as the holster doesn't do that, then it is comfortable, right? Carrying a holster in the appendix position is never ever going to be as comfortable as not carrying a holster, but it is going to mean you're more capable, and carrying it in the appendix position will probably mean you're a bit more fast than carrying strong side. Also, I like the ability to look down, see my holster when I'm reholstering, and do so safely, right? I did in the beginning of my firearm carrying career, carry in the 3-4 o'clock position, and I always sort of had to crane over to try to look at where the holster was, because I wanted to look my firearm into the holster. I heard it was a good practice, so I wanted to do it, but it was very difficult because you can't see behind your back. For me, being able to look down and see that's my holster, it's clear of any garments or foreign objects, slide the firearm in there and we are good to go. So the idea of a comfortable appendix inside the waistband holster, I didn't even mention this earlier, but if you go to a gun shop and you try one of these on, right, you've got to put a gun or a blue gun, shall I say, in the holster. It doesn't work like this. You've got to put something in here for you to fully understand how comfortable or how uncomfortable it is. Like this, it is going to be uncomfortable, I can guarantee you, because this edge here pushes into your stomach, as it should, and that's going to feel uncomfortable. However, once you put a firearm in there, it feels completely different. So if you've only ever been to a store and you've tried on just a holster, that is not what a appendix inside the waistband holster is going to or supposed to feel like once you put the firearm in there. The advantages of AIWB for me way outweigh the disadvantages of AIWB. The only problem with appendix inside the waistband holsters for me is that I'm a fairly fit guy and it makes me look like I have a bit of a belly, right? Other than that, everything else is acceptable because I accept the level of comfort I'm getting versus the level of capability that level of comfort is giving me. So that is my 2 cents on whether or not AIWB is supposed to be comfortable, is comfortable, or is not comfortable. This is going to vary person to person, it's going to vary body shape to body shape, but I would say if you're unsure, do this. Get yourself an AIWB holster, put your firearm in it, and ask yourself, can you go prone, crouch, stand, run, sit, and jump? And if you can, right, then that's an acceptable level of comfort, because that's what you're required, more than likely required to do in a life-saving or life-taking situation. Guys, that is it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, leave it down below. If you like this sort of thing, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you guys soon for another review. Cheers. God bless.